She also leads the Anatha Healing Foundation, which is a venture where she conducts free meditation sessions and workshops in various dimensions of healing. She has done a fellowship course in psychiatry and also integrates personal evolution method in her practice. She has got success in less ventured areas like autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, PCOD, and many psychiatric ailments. We are very glad to have you, ma'am. Some basic hygiene factors that I'd like to inform. Kindly keep your lines muted all the while. You can keep your videos on, which will help in interaction. We can have the question answer session at the end of the session. Do drop out your queries in the chat box. Please refrain from scribbling on the screen. You can muse all our recordings of previous musings from Repertory of Learning. The link will be shared in the chat box. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are also going live on YouTube today. And this is the link for the YouTube channel and for the musings. Over to you, Dr. Meeta, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Twinta, for having me here, and Dr. Preetisha and Prajakta. It's a nice experience always to be here on this platform and seeing all the friends coming together for this divine purpose of learning and sharing and growing together. So today I'll be talking on Insecta and yeah. So I'll be sharing, I have many cases of Insecta. So I can now summarize some of the themes depicting in my cases which come up again and again. So it will be my own experience of so many years of practicing classical homeopathy, and also, so as Dr. Twinta has shared that this is my 31st year of practice. I have gone through all the meanders. We have followed our mentors through and through, and we have grown with them. So we have started with classical homeopathy, then we went to sensation method with Dr. Shankaran, and then we even did meditative cases with Dr. Jayesha, and now we are further going with personal evolution method with Dr. Mahesh Gandhi. So all these learnings are from our mentors, so it's a heartfelt gratitude for them that we have learned so much from them. So this is just a humble it's a humble means to share whatever I have learned from them. So whole heartfelt gratitude for them. This is how I work. I transform lives by my power to surrender. As you all know that with each individual case we are in the unknown, and we are guided, and we are there in the unknown, and we always have to use new methods and new ways to integrate what we have learned. So this is how we go further with being in the unknown and being surrendered there. So this is case 1. We'll start this case 1. It's a case of depression. So this is a girl who is 32 years of age. Yeah, so this is a girl who is 32 years of age, and she came to me very depressed. So she came she was totally disoriented when she came to me. Her appointment was at 1 o'clock. She reached my clinic by 2:15. She was there, like she just kept the keys, and she was there. She was not able to reconnect. Where did I keep my keys? And she said, "Sorry, doctor, I'm late. I was not getting my dupatta, so I was running in my home. I was finding it out, and finally I've come without dupatta." So you could see this girl, she was totally disoriented. So she said, "Doctor, I'm totally depressed. See how I have become. I am not able to remember anything. I am forgetting everything. I even don't know where do I keep my keys. I have so much in the back of my mind. She could not appear for exams. She had done bachelor's in psychology and she was going further with the doctorate. She wanted to opt for administrative courses. So what we see, her pace was very fast. When she came, on one end she was disoriented and other end her pace was very fast. She was
वो
just
मार्केट
talking.
से निकालो भैया, मार्केट से.
So she wanted to help me out for her memory loss. She says I'm not able to concentrate and I'm not able to study. So please help me out as this exam is very important for me. She says I want to go for doctorate. I want to go for PhD. So that was her main concern. And when I went further, what was affecting her, this was her story. She says, I give tuitions and I somehow arrange fees for my examinations. She says, now I'm 32, so my mother's interests are different. She wants me to get married. So, what was happening is that she used to give tuitions and she used to arrange fees for a further study and examinations. But the money she collected was further given by her mother, used for her matrimonial prospects. Like whenever there was a prospective groom, in India what happens, like we try to get best in our homes, like we try to change curtains or we try to get good crockery or try to get full array of dishes. So this is what her mother did. Whatever amount was collected by her for exams was used to entertain these prospective grooms, and normally nothing turned up because she said I don't look good. So this was a concern that I am aging, doctor. My age is 32. See how old I am looking. See these wrinkles on my face. But I don't want to marry now. I want to do something with my life, and only then I can go further. So she says I feel helpless and angry when this happens repeatedly. She says either it should mature, that prospective groom or that a prospective proposal should mature and I should get married. Either, so if that's not happening, at least I should concentrate on my study. So this was the conflict which she was in, and she was always having this anger towards her mother that she doesn't allow me to do what I want to do. So she was not able to clear this administrative exams which she wanted to do for before, because of this process of repeated interference from the mother, she said. So now she said, now I have crossed the age for clearing those administrative examinations. So now she is pursuing psychology. She says at least it will help me to understand myself. She says I know what I am going through, so at least this will help me to understand what I am going through and this will help me myself. So she was referred to be by a psychologist who was her teacher, and she was not able to help her. So she somehow knew me, so I got this reference from her. So she says she was not able to clear that examination, and then she has finally chosen psychology. She says she doesn't go on with her brother too. She says he gets all the perks at home because he is earning and I'm not earning. So this was her perception with the brother, and there was always a um, energy of animosity between them. She says he's always given the preference, and this is a gender discrimination also which I experience at my home. So you can see a girl who's totally frustrated from all the sides, and nothing seems to work in her life, right? So she says I've seen many hardships. She says when we were poor, we were mistreated by our relatives. She says nobody came to our house, nobody wanted us to be at their home. We were never invited at any functions, either weddings or birthdays, by our relatives. She says even where she remembers a time when her grandmother expired, nobody came to their home for condolences also. She says people even don't attend your funeral when you're poor. So this was her experience of life. She says even her sister was pregnant. She was chucked out of her house in the middle of the night when she was pregnant, and she says we felt so helpless We even did the FIR and all against the family who wanted to ask more dowry as per her narration. She says it was such a helplessness state that you're totally powerless in this whole world and you can't do anything. So she says that is what made her want to go in administrative services and have that, own that power. This is what her whole experience of life was. So she said during this process she wanted to help her parents by earning something. So she just took a small job at the collector's house, and from there she got the inspiration that she used to see how much power this person is having. So she said, I wanted that power, so I wanted to be like him, and that is what made her choose the administrative services, which obviously she was not able to clear out. She says, I like the way the car was being opened for the collector, the way he had bodyguards with him. She said, I like the whole process. I asked her, what did you like about that collector? What will your experience of that being a collector will be? She says, you are respected everywhere, everybody treats you well, you're looked up to, you are invited to all the everybody in the city, whether you know them or you are invited to their weddings and birthdays and parties. So she says it's such a good feeling that you are wanted everywhere, you have that power, you have bodyguards around. So she has this big picture of being a collector. So what we do is whenever we take a case, when she says what do you want to become, and if the answer is like collector, then we go further and ask about what is the experience of being a collector. So for me personally, the experience of collector will be different, and for somebody it will be different, and this will take you to the state. You can't just sit and imagine what collector, because that will be your perception. So normally what we do is when we take a case with sensation method, or when we take a case to a deeper level, we give these words back to the patient so that he can give a clear idea of what is the experience of being a collector, right? So here normally the case opens up when we go into the experience, right? This is how the case opens up. Otherwise, if you just see a collector, you may put your own prejudice with this word, right? So this is how these are the key points which will help you to go deeper in the case and understand the energy of the case. Now when we take cases, initially we used to take cases on the basis of symptoms, which was Materia Medica and provings, but now we take them to their deepest experience of life. So this gives the energy dynamics and how she perceives life. So as you all know that we have given different flavors and perceptions to life, and we have different filters of our own perceptions to life. This is a filter we need to understand. So this filter will be the energy pattern which we have to match with the simillimum. So she says she was abused in childhood by her drunk uncle. She says, I remember I was 3 years old and they had a very old house in which the first floor was a single room which they had, and her unwed uncle used to stay there, and he was an alcoholic. So she says she remembers that he was drunk and he took her from her mother who was holding her, and he took her there up in that single room and he molested her. So she says, I still remember and I have that anger towards my mother, that how could she give me to that drunk uncle? Did she not have brains? Did she not understand what could happen? So she was harboring that anger within for her mother. Till date, she says, I can't forgive my mother for doing that to me. She says, my uncle was drunk, I can understand, but as a mother, you are so grown up, you should understand. So that anger dynamics is there between the mother and her till date. She says, I always feel dirty, especially during my menses. She doesn't like this She says, I have that dirtiness since childhood. I feel that my body is dirty. This she relates to her childhood molestation. She has a grudge for her mother. She's always quarrelsome with her. She was not allowed to talk to boys in school or till date. She says she was so strict that we couldn't step out of our home. She was not allowed to step out of her home other than studies and tuitions. She was not allowed to talk to boys. She said even singing a song which had this word love was considered vulgar. She says we were not exposed to any of these movie things. She was not allowed to sing romantic songs. She said, I used to be literally thrashed by my mother just if she sang that song which had the word love. So you can understand the scenario in which she was staying. She said when she grew up, when she was taking these tuitions and all, she had a boyfriend, and she said that after some time even he broke up with me, and she has lost all her confidence since then. She says it is because I don't look good he broke up with me. So this is the molestation she has experienced, and this is a feeling of dirtiness within her. When I asked her, like, did you have any fear of injury? She said, this is a very good question, ma'am, you asked. See, because when we go through the case, we sense something, and this sense or intuitive thing helps you to ask further questions. So when I asked her, do you have any fear of injury? Because I could see some traits of this remedy. She says, मैम ये बात आपने मेरे से बहुत अच्छी पूछी. This is a very good question. She says, I always step cautiously. I have so much fear of injury. I always step cautiously. I don't ever play games. I have never been to my playground of the school. She says, I feel I'll be crushed because these boys, they are rushing, madlessly, recklessly. She says, I always had this fear. We normally play a game in our childhood, we just jump on one leg, which we called as langadi. She says, I have never ever played that game too. In that game, we just catch with one leg, raising one leg. So she says, and she was smiling when she says, ma'am, मैं वो game भी आज तक नहीं खेल पाई, because that is in that there is no rushing or, like pushing. It is just 1-to-1 game. She says, ma'am, even that game I have never ever played because I felt that I'll be injured, they'll crush me. I don't like to watch these football matches and all. She says I'm scared of this injuries. So this is what came out during the case taking. So when I explored her fears, it was fear of falling, fear of injury, fear of heights, and fear of men. She did not like being around unknown people, especially men. She says it gives me a gritty feeling being around them, so she was not comfortable. So now what we see is she has so many fears. She has her, a strict mother who doesn't allow her to go outside. She doesn't have a healthy interaction with people around. Also, when I came to the remedy, and when she was leaving my chamber, there was another patient who just came in, and she said, ma'am, she's my neighbor. And then she also gave me some information about her, which again matched with the remedy. So this information was that this mother and daughter duo, they are so quarrelsome that everybody in the society is upset with them. They have such arrogance that nobody wants to talk to them. So this was confirmed in the second interview. She confirmed that, ma'am, we were very poor. Now my brother, he has become a manager in some good company. So we have bought a good house. She was staying in a neighboring place from my city, and now they have shifted to the main city, and they have bought a very good house. So she says, now we can treat them the way they treated us because we have a good house. So this girl now was she felt that she had some power because her brother was a manager at a good company and they were able to earn a decent amount of money. She said, ma'am, now even this time when my grandfather he died, we had many people who came to our funeral, to our house for his funeral. So this was the shift of her financial status after her brother was earning. And this is what I think they, she uh, this mother and daughter, they found themselves at a superior place where they could mistreat others. So this was how they were seen in their society. They were not liked because of their arrogant and quarrelsome attitude. So when I asked her further about her dreams, she said she dreamt that they are staying in a very high rise building and multiplexes and malls were looking like toys in front of the building. So now just imagine, she says there were multiplexes, malls, and very small houses. They were staying in such a high-rise building that the multiplexes and malls were also looking like toys. And her mother is kicking them with the feet, and she is asking her mother not to trouble them. And she has this vicious smile. So these smiles, these pauses, and some gestures which don't go with the case, where you feel even these gestures are to be taken as peculiar, queer, and rare. This is PQRS. So we have to find for PQRS at every level, at verbal and non-verbal things also. When you are verbally talking, that time also PQRS is selected, and non-verbal gestures are also to be taken. So this vicious smile was again noted. She says, I asked my mother, Mat karo na ma aise, and then she gave a smile.